Toxic fan bases.
Oh boy, this will be
Time
fun.
Sips alcohol at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. uh,
After doing a video at 4 o'clock in the morning.
hey, listen. Some of us just live to torture ourselves. This video is one of those.
Yeah, because if this doesn't become the most triggering Controlled Chaos video ever, I don't know what will.
Oh, I mean, the fact that Death Battle is going to be touched, I'm sure it's going to trigger those people. Let's get into it. Let's start off with the lovely #1 most toxic fan base, in my opinion, the My Hero Academia fandom.
Now, to be fair, before this video, we started this video, Tyler said he was going to play devil's advocate here. Considering Tyler, out of all of us, is probably the biggest My Hero fan.
Yeah,
I would say that's no contest.
yeah. I got into superheroes because of My Hero Academia. That's like what we're talking here. I have a special place in my heart when it comes to My Hero. I definitely feel like My Hero has opened up a lot of. Has definitely opened my eyes to a lot of other things. You know, it's opened my eyes to Black Clover and such. It's opened my eyes to Dr. Stone, and I could go on, but like, yeah, the My Hero fan base is pretty fucking bad.
And just to clarify, if you like the series, that's fine, that's cool. More power to you in every single way. Like, but at the same time, it's more a case of the people who think like My Hero, absolute gem, masterpiece, nothing wrong with it. If you say anything bad about it, you are completely wrong automatically. Deku is the greatest hero ever, even though I'll point out that hey, Suika and Dr. Stone saved the world by herself.
There's a lot to be said, and go ahead, Tyler.
I was about to say, it's one thing to like believe that My Hero is the perfect series. Like, go ahead. I don't care if you believe that My Hero is the perfect series, or that like Midoriya is the greatest protagonist. That's fine. It's another thing to be a complete asshole about it, and that's what a shocking amount of people don't understand.
Yeah, so I don't know, because you and I both go to cons, Tyler. I don't know if you've seen this trend with the My Hero fans, but they go out of their way to be cringe and harass the voice actors, at least from my personal experience with them. Like to the point where they were doing like conga lines and shit and beyond the banners for certain voice actors. They were there was a point in time where this was the fandom that was sending death threats to voice actors because they didn't deem them black enough to play a character. In the case of Miroko's voice actor, it's just a whole ass shit show for a lot of them, and that's what led initially to this topic being brought up. Was back then, and it's just been sitting on the back burner for a while as we kind of did other projects. But it's one of those fandoms, like I get that it's a starter pack fandom for a lot of people, and it's usually like the very young Gen Z, Gen Alpha that gets into anime and manga because of the series, and that's kind of where like I came from with Dragon Ball in by that extent, but it was before the advent of social media at that point too, and that's kind of what leads to this giant blob that is the cesspool of the, I guess you can call it this echo chamber that they fall into, of like Midoriya is the best protagonist. You have all these people that are just saying like this is the perfect series, and if you don't like that, fuck you, you deserve to die. There's nothing wrong about the series, even though like the more sane of the fan base is even like, yeah, maybe Horikoshi needs to wrap this up because it's dragging on. It's becoming really stale. It's becoming this like mess, especially in this last arc. From what I've seen, somebody's Discord was pinging there.
Yeah, because it feels like as an author, he's trying to wrap up every single every single plot point to the point that it doesn't leave it open for anything. Even though we've said this before, it's impossible to answer every single question about a series ever. But I feel like he's feeling the need, like, okay, I've got to wrap up Todoroki. I've got to wrap up. Uraraka. I've got to wrap up Stain. It's like, okay, you don't need to wrap up. You don't need to wrap up Stain. I think Stain was fine where he was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like I can appreciate somebody who is all about like the details and like trying to make sure everybody who's a fan of every character is satisfied. But at this point, it's moving about along as my grandpa. He's dead.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and I'm sorry, I've lost my train of thought.
Yeah, I think the point that it kind of lost me was at the Mirako stuff, like I said, but like even before that, we had the villains reunion at MyCon, and that's when I saw a lot of the cringe. It was directed mostly towards Toga's voice actress, where they were just driving her absolutely fucking crazy.
And that's another thing. That was the thing I was going to say. It's like the people who honestly think that this series it does. I don't know if you've noticed this, you two, but the people who seem to be like, this is the greatest thing ever, nothing wrong with it, are usually the ones that are complaining the most about it.
Yeah, it's really the double-edged sword of the fandom, and this falls into all of the fandoms that we'll probably get to at this point as well, because I know it's also like the Undertale one. It's also like a bunch of these other ones that are on this list. But when you perceive something as perfect, anything that goes wrong in that banner tends to sour towards you, and then you turn that outward towards the people that are creating it. Oh, you and I, Luke, are old enough to remember like when people started hating Kubo because of Byakuya.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't put this down, but I'm glad you I'm glad you mentioned it. Okay, fan goes out there. It's nice that you like Byakuya, but he really should have died in the last arc.
Yeah, like it was to the point where there was literal book burnings because he died, and then Kubo caved to the fandom and brought him back. Now, Bleach isn't as popular over in Japan as it is over here, but it was mostly this audience, and he's like, well, shit, I kind of fucked up because fans really like this character, and I want to make people happy. But you can't make every fan happy. I think this is the lesson he learned from that. Now that he's back with Burn the Witch and maybe a Hell arc, maybe not a Hell arc. We don't really know what's going on with that.
I get the feeling that the Hell arc will probably be anime only. Like he'll probably supervise it, like he's been doing the 1,000-Year Blood War. But I think it'll mostly just be, hey, here's my notes of what I want in the Hell arc. Like I think we'll finally get to see what Ukitaki's Bonkai is, and if we do get a Hell arc. But I feel like it is just going to be anime only.
I feel like this is the way he wants to go, because you're seeing Burn the Witch get anime first and then get adapted. And at least that seems to be how it's being treated. I never really paid attention to the Burn the Witch stuff too heavily.
But yeah, now that you mentioned about the fan backlash and forcing stuff out of someone, I'm gonna be mentioning this again in the Cosmic Fury video, but guys on Twitter who weren't happy with Andrew Lang voicing Zed in Dino Fury, shame on you.
It's a weird one. Like the Power Rangers fandom, Tyler, you're newer to this, so you haven't experienced it as much as we have, but the Power Rangers fandom's always been like that, I feel like. At least since I've been on social media, I've noticed it. And I've only been on social media for the better part of a decade at this point. But it's always been one of those fandoms that turns its shit on every adaptation whatsoever because they want it to be 1-to-1 from the Sentai, and they want it to, be perfect. They want everything to not be cheesy, but they don't like when the cheese gets cut out. It's just
that has got to be like one of the biggest, like, what the hell are you even talking about moments when it's like, okay, so you don't want Rangers being baked into a giant pizza, but you want a hamburger morpher.
That's a weird way to put it, but yeah, it's funny. Like, I noticed it a lot with these last two adaptations, I think, because it's when we started focusing on like the By the Era stuff. But like even before that, like Ranger Board, Simon Bennett said it best, like, don't ever go on Ranger Board if you want to be happy as a Power Rangers fan. Like, paraphrasing his words there, but he's right. Like, that place is a fucking cesspool.
Yeah. And thank God I've never gone on it.
Like, it's weird though. It's weird because like anything towards the comics seems to be super positive, right? Because it's gritty, it's, a story that's telling based on nostalgia and like everything like that. But at the same time, it's a fresh new experience, and it's not 1-to-1 to anything because it's all fucking new. But they seem to eat that up. But anytime you try to do like original stuff in live action, like Cosmic Fury was heavily like new in its own adaptation in itself. Like all they used was the Zord footage, and little bits of the original. Like I think it was even like all original fight scenes too.
Yeah, it was.
So like there really wasn't anything adapted but the Zord footage, and people shit all over it, even though that's the same thing they're getting out of the comics. They're just sucking off constantly. So like it's one of the biggest hypocritical fandoms, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah. And pretty much, I've just got to ask them. I've just got to call the fan base out here. Like, if you believe that anybody working on the show should be automatically be a fan of it, then go out and touch grass.
It helps, but it is not a requirement.
Right.
Oh, yeah, right. Because I mean, by that logic, I should not be working in retail because I don't like going out shopping. I mean, I'll go out and do it for essentials, but aside from that, I don't like standing in queues. But apparently, I've got to like that to work in retail.
It's such a weird take to have seen. Like, I get where they're coming from, though. Like Tyler said, like, it helps. It does help if you like the thing you're working on. But you're not required to like every project you work on. I think I touched on this in the Lightspeed Rescue video, because that bullshit came out in around the same time as we were filming that portion of the post-Zordon stuff. Like, I don't have time to sit down and consume every album that I want to now that I'm working on music. I don't have time to sit down and watch every anime on the planet. That doesn't make me invalid as a musician or as an anime fan, because I can't fucking sit down and watch everything under the planet or listen to everything under the planet that's in the particular genre of the music that I'm currently creating. So, like, I understand where the fans came from when they were talking to Simon there, to an extent, because it does help when you're a fan of what you're creating. But like he said, he doesn't really enjoy TV anymore because reasons. And you don't have to sit down and enjoy TV. Like, he's right. Like, a lot of what's on TV is dog shit at this point. Like, it's 97% reality TV with a few good shows sprinkled in. Doesn't make it not worth the fact that he's working on something. Doesn't mean that he doesn't like what he's working on. He openly stated that he's enjoyed working on it, but he's not going to sit down and watch 30 seasons of Power Rangers because he doesn't fucking consume television.
Yeah, and that's fine enough itself. And I get the feeling that he's more, because he's mentioned this before when I've tweeted to him about it, that it's obvious he prefers the theatre, the live theatre stuff more than working on more than actually watching TV. Because he has mentioned that now that he's finished his time on Power Rangers, that he's going to be traveling and going to watch some theatre.
Like, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I, 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 I don't get the necessity to attack every creator. That social media seem to have created. Like, that's the thing that really got me thinking about this topic. And speaking of that, I think we should. I think that's actually my Opera GX in the background. Let me just close that out. I think that the next one we really need to touch on is fucking Attack on Titan. Because that's one that started a whole ass petition to create a whole new ending.
Yeah, and then the ending that was created, apparently people didn't like as well. So I don't know what they were expecting.
I'm so confused with that one because right now, Isayama, I believe is how you say his name, the creator of Attack on Titan, he's making a special volume next year as an addendum to the ending that was created canonically, which probably means we'll get another season of Attack on Titan after this one.
Why? Why are we really gonna have
the final season? Yeah.
Are we gonna have the final season,
or
part 4, part 1?
Or maybe it'll be like a epilogue OVA.
Please, dear God.
If it's that, just fine, okay, but don't call it the final season, part 4, part 1.
I might actually commit unalive if that happens. Like,
no, don't Fex. It's not worth it.
It's become the fucking meme at this point. Like, that series has drug on for a fucking decade of adaptations. But it's almost like he feels this necessity to please everybody as well. Because we had this fan final ending that kind of changed a lot of the things in the final arc to make it better for them. And if I'm not mistaken, they didn't even finish that project. They did one chapter of it and said, "Fuck it, we give up."
Which again proves my point. The ones that do the criticism can't do the projects themselves.
Right, and like I give them credit for trying. Because that's more than a lot of the critics will do, right? I'll give them credit for trying.
Yeah, but if you're gonna say like, hey, we don't like the ending, we're gonna change it and we're gonna do it for the whole final arc, but then give up after one chapter, then it's like, at least come out and say like, okay, yeah, we admit that we kind of shot ourselves in the foot with this.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That's all I really want out of these people is admitting they were wrong, right? And that what the creator did was valid. Because at that point, you're essentially admitting defeat. What you are admitting defeat is like, yeah, we can't do this. We've tried, we can't do it.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with admitting defeat.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, Ty.
Yeah. Thing is like, I feel like the thing is with like a lot of fans, they don't know how hard it is to write a story.
Right.
Because, like, you know that one like that one meme where it's like split pathways.
Mm-hmm.
Think of that times 1,000.
Yeah, that's a old Yu-Gi-Oh card, by the way.
Right.
It wasn't even a Yu-Gi-Oh card. It was from the anime.
No, like the split pathways thing was that's a Yu-Gi-Oh reference.
Yep. But anyways, like especially like I consider myself a very amateur writer. I have like my big project right now that I work on as like a little pet project. I am still in the writing phase of it, and it's been like 5 years, like 4 or 5 years, and I'm still in like the drafting phases. Like I have a hard time writing a fucking D&D campaign, let alone an
Right?
actual story that was adapted from being fucking fan fiction to now its own standalone thing.
God, yeah. Like I tried years ago to write a book. And I gave up fucking like 3 chapters in. I it was way too much work for me to do at the time with everything else I was doing, and this is like way back when I was doing a lot more physical shit, when I had taken up like jujitsu and shit, so like I would come home and be really like exhausted from that. I would try to sit down, write a couple pages, and I get maybe a paragraph in, and I just couldn't even do that. So I just kind of gave up. I might revisit that now that I, have a better time management skills to some extent, but I probably won't. I'd probably scrap the whole fucking project and start over if I was to do it. But like, I went through a phase of trying to do everything creative and then failing at all of them, and now finding some success music wise. So like I get how hard it is to write a story. That's the thing I'm getting at. It is one of the hardest things because you have to plan out a lot. You have to plot out like the whole ass story arc, character arcs. You have to like spreadsheet what you want to fucking deal with it to make it make sense.
Yep. And coming from someone who's actually gone through it and done it, okay, so in a few years' time, I'll be writing a book series, and I've got the notes planned out for like the major plot points for each book. It's taken up like about 15 pages in a Microsoft Word document.
Yeah, like in you're self-published too. Like you've done other books, so you know what the hell you're talking about. You know the struggle of it. It's a lot of fucking work, and these people just don't seem to understand that.
And it's a lot of it's a lot of dedication as well.
They're armchair quarterbacks. That's the best way I can put it. They're a bunch of armchair writers who think, "Oh yeah, I could write a story," but like you don't know how hard it is until you actually do it.
Yeah.
And then when you say to the people like, "Hey, why don't you do it then?" I can't be bothered.
Right. Then shut the fuck up.
Yeah. But yeah, also as well, to go off on the Attack on Titan fan base, I have never seen people be so hypocritical about a series than when it comes to one particular character.
Aaron?
No, Gabby.
Oh.
Because they kill off the fan favorite character, everyone's like, she deserves to die, burn her at the stake, blah 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 blah. But then when Eren is saying like, I'm gonna commit genocide all over the world, that's a true leader.
Yeah, that's a wild take from a lot of people. I've never really understood the Gabby hate. Like, I don't like her as a character because she's a shit character.
Yeah. And people don't seem to realize that Gabby is basically what Eren was at the beginning of the series, because Gabby has been told all her life, like, these people from this island are gonna come, they're gonna attack your people, they're gonna attack your friends and kill them, and they actually do that to her. So she's like, right, I'm gonna get my own back on them. Exactly the same thing that Eren was doing.
It's wild, isn't it? Like, I don't really know how to put it. Shit. That's I lost my train of
So
thought
it's
there.
like Aaron and Gabby are parallels.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the way to
that
put
was
it.
that's what oh, I cannot pronounce his name, but the author was trying to do. They were trying to show like, hey, this is what Aaron would be like if he wasn't on the island.
Yeah. That's the word I was looking for. So with that being said, I can speak on this one. I don't know if either of you guys can. Kingdom Hearts.
I cannot.
So I have never in my life witnessed anything funnier to me personally. Like I wish Ann Arbor was here, but he's busy. I was one of the people that was sitting there stoked when they finally said, "Oh, Kingdom Hearts 3 is coming out." Right? It's been basically a decade since we got a mainline entry game, Obviously, like every game is canon, including the fucking mobile games, so you can't even play anymore, which is why they need to fucking put the stories out on some form of media, make a goddamn Blu-ray or some shit of the cutscenes. But anyway, when Kingdom Hearts 3 came out, everybody and their mother shit on it because, and I'll admit, Kingdom Hearts story is a meme. That's the best way to put it. It's a fucking meme. You need a high IQ to understand the Kingdom Hearts story. Insert Rick meme here. And if a Kingdom Hearts fan says they understand the fucking story of Kingdom Hearts, they're a liar.
No.
Because it makes no goddamn sense whatsoever. But that does not mean that you need to shit on the game. It doesn't mean it wasn't a good game. That doesn't mean that it wasn't fun to play. I'll admit, sitting as somebody that worked through retail anyway, sitting through a fucking Frozen with Let It Go on a goddamn loop made me want to rip my eyeballs and ears off.
I can imagine.
Because I worked in retail when Frozen first came out. And that song was one of the songs that was on that corporate sponsored radio station. So yeah, that was torture for me. But yeah, like the game wasn't bad. It was just a lot more in tune with Dream Drop Distance flow wise, and it played more heavily into the action aspect of things than the like first two games in the main canon, as people would call it, even though they're all canon. The first two numbered games, let's go with that. It played a lot more heavy action style, with the attractions basically being tanks that you can just run around and destroy everything with. And a lot of people found that the game was too easy. And I will be the first to admit the fact that they did not release the critical mode day one was fucking stupid. Which is the hardest difficulty on there. So, like, not having that, and basically the hardest you could go is, like, Proud, which is essentially, like, the hard mode on most games, versus, like, the fuck you difficulty. It was a choice. It was a choice, but it was not a bad game, and it didn't deserve all the hate that it got, especially after a decade of waiting. Now that we're 3 years, I think, into waiting for more information on Kingdom Hearts 4, the fandom's going back into the defense mode and the cycle mode. Kind of like Yu-Gi-Oh! Goes through the cycles of, like, this is the worst pack ever, this is the best pack ever, this is the best archetype ever that you see, or we'll go with the Call of Duty metaphor, where, like, every year that you get a Call of Duty, fans initially love the first reveal, the game comes out, they shit on it, they kind of go back to the last one that they already had hated, and then the cycle repeats itself. They're going into that, like, defensive phase of like, now they like Kingdom Hearts 3. But yeah, like it was one of them. Like, go ahead.
It's kind of funny you go into this because, like, I mean, granted, these aren't like big like people who talk about Kingdom Hearts like 24/7, 12, but like content creators I follow, like the Completionist or Cat Icarus or Some Call Me Johnny, uh, they have said nothing but positive things about Kingdom Hearts 3, even at release.
That's wild. I just started listening or watching Kid Icarus like last year, so I didn't really dive too much into that.
Yeah, it was one of Caddy's older videos.
Yeah. So I haven't got to that part of his backlog, so you know. And I didn't even know about the Completionist as a big creator until the G4 Rebirth. So I started going back through his backlog as well. So like those two I didn't really see, but like everybody that I had watched didn't like it because of how it played, and like the fandom itself really just blew up on it. And I figure it's just like the RPG purists, because a lot of them came over because of the Final Fantasy ties to it. Like in the first one, you had a bunch of Final Fantasy rep in it, which was used as a market to sell the fucking game. And then it went more and more like original as time went on, focusing less and less on the representation from Final Fantasy. It wasn't until the DLC that a lot of those characters came back, which was a choice, I'll admit, but it wasn't a bad choice, because at that point the game series had been established enough to stand on its own feet, because at that point you had 8-9 games worth of shit that these characters and love these characters for. So you would think that they'd be like, oh, cool, I get to spend more time with the original characters, and I don't have to go around and fight Sephiroth and have him violate my asshole for the third time. Yeah, but no.
Fuck, I had a feeling I wanted to say something, but I forgot.
Well,
how about Pokemon, guys?
Yeah, I was about to bring you took the words out of my mouth, X. Okay, so Pokemon, but more specific, I guess we could talk about both aspects, the anime and the game series. Okay, so I guess I'll start with talking about one aspect I absolutely despise about the anime side of things, when literally people take something from an episode as actual, like, this is actual filler, that's filler crap, blah 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 blah, when it really isn't. Case in point, episode 13 of Horizons, when they're like, "Oh, this is a flashback. This is a flashback. This is filler. What is even the point here?" And I'm like, it's meant to be downtime, because literally up until that point, it's been nothing but action, action, action. Get to one place. Okay, we've got to go here. It's like, okay, let them have a breather episode, but they're like, no, we can't have filler episodes. This is meant to be serialized. It's not meant to be episodic. But the whole episode, literally the whole flashback aspect of that episode was 2 minutes long. And there was a point to that episode.
Okay, now I'm being reminded, with you talking about like the whole filler thing, I'm being reminded of that one clip from like DBZ Abridged, where it's like a little girl. It was like in one of the DBZ Kai Abridged things, where it's like the little girl crying. She's like, "Phil." And I get crushed by a car.
And it seems that they've not understood. They've kind of they kind of seen the word filler and thought like, hey, this applies to Pokemon, even though filler came from the fact that it was from, hey, anime's caught to the manga and they don't have enough material to carry on with. Whereas Pokemon does not have well, technically does have a manga, but that is completely separate universe.
Oh, yeah, you mean the Pokemon's too much of a coward to show characters getting crucified, Luke?
Yeah, even though they've shown a cross before. But no, and that's another thing as well when people try to bring in game mechanics into the actual series when it's like you really shouldn't be doing that. The Pokemon anime, even though it follows some aspects of the games, it doesn't follow them all down to the letter. Because if that's the case, then Trip Snivy would be the most powerful Snivy in the world.
Jesus Christ, that's terrifying
Yeah.
to think about.
But another aspect is that when they don't pay attention to what is actually going on in the episodes, and they're like, "Why did this happen? Why did this plot point happen?" Case in point, Ash versus Cynthia. So everyone was complaining, like, where was Mega Garchomp? Why did Cynthia bring out the Dynamax Togekiss? And I'm just there thinking, like, aren't you watching the episode? Surfetch did so much damage on Garchomp to the point that it was nearly going down. Like, what would be, like, even if Cynthia went Mega with Garchomp, the outcome against Lucario would have still been the same. Because going Mega does not equal, we're going to restore full power to our Pokemon.
Yeah, like I'm just curious what in the world, because I didn't watch the last 2 seasons yet, so I don't really have a lot of point of reference for that. But I did see the clips that you've sent me, Luke.
Yeah.
I did watch the first episode of the new show as well to kind of get a feel for how it was going to go. So,
okay,
like, I don't really see a lot of the backlash for that other than what's on Twitter being bitched about, because it seems to be people screaming into a void there whenever it comes to Pokemon as well. So I don't really see any issue with anything that happened. Like, there really shouldn't be as much stupid bitching going on. I'm sorry for the amount of swear words in this video. YouTube, please don't give this the yellow seal of disapproval. Because I'm sure as fuck not editing.
It's mainly from the Pokemon YouTubers more than anything.
Gotcha. So it's just content creators drumming up unnecessary drama where they can make $1.
Yeah, because I know Tyler has watched a fair few of his videos, but I brought up the Pokemon Arises episode because Lumia's trainer Sax said that episode 13 was filler. It was a really bad episode. He gave it a 3 out of 10, and I was just there looking at.
Why are we rating like, Pokemon episodes? We're in our fucking 20s and 30s.
Yeah, and he's married as well. So why is he ranking Pokemon episodes?
Like, touch grass.
I mean, to be fair, like, for me, like rating stuff just helps me get my feelings across.
Yeah, I get that. I'm just memeing here. Like, there is no need to be that negative on a show aimed at somebody that could be your child, is what I'm getting at. Like,
yeah,
you're not the initial target audience for it, you know?
Yeah, and the whole point of the flashback was to showcase, like, because it was mainly from Liko's perspective about how far she had come in the 13 episodes, which if you look at her from episode 1 to episode 13, that does make sense. Like, she would be having that, like, hey, I've got friends now that I'm around, and I'm a happier person as a result of it. And also it led into Roy getting his second Pokemon because of the fact that he bonded with it before he actually captured it.
Right, like,
I get the feeling that they'll moan about it in the initial moment, but then when it's like, okay, this is going somewhere, they'll stop the moaning about it.
Yeah. I also feel like a lot of these creators don't really hate things that they say they hate, and they secretly enjoy them, but they want to make the $1 that their audience helps them get. But at the same time, I feel like people tend to hate the things that they claim they love online for the same reasons. Like, a lot of I feel like a lot of manga tubers especially start to hate and dread making their weekly One Piece reviews because they realize they've turned all of the things that they truly did love at one point into a hustle.
Or at the very least, they're just overblown. They're just like when people review multiple series at once. It's like, oh, do I really want? It feels like they're treating, and if you want to treat it as this, that's fine. More power to you. But it feels like they're treating it more like a job to the point that when they're like, oh, do I really have to do this today? I really don't feel like it. Well, don't do it.
Yeah. Exactly. And I feel like that's kind of where a lot of this internalized hate in this fandom came from, because one, you're consuming kids content for the sake of monetizing it, and two, you're definitely burning yourself at both ends, because at one point you truly love this franchise, but now all of your fans don't like it, so now you have to turn it to exactly what they want to hear so you can continue to make money, because you don't want to lose that returning view. Because that is a very hard thing to attain on YouTube. I will be the first to admit that. Because audience retention is very difficult at times, especially if you're not talking in the same light as most of the fandom is. Case in point, when we used to review Promised Neverland.
Yeah, and and I've said it before. I'll be the first to admit that the ending for Promised Neverland needs to be changed completely.
I don't give two shits either way. Like, I'm so done with that franchise.
And also as well, anybody who says there's season 2 of Promised Neverland, you're lying. There was not a season 2. We're gonna keep that running gag alive.
Yeah,
Season what?
Season what?
Yeah.
I really like. I launched the merch store today for the channel, like through Stream Elements. I really want to make a season what. Shirt for that.
I really just want you. Okay, take the avatar that is not on the one that was made for us, and just put it next to a picture of the poster for season 2 of Promised Neverland, and have me saying like, season what? This never happened.
Yeah,
I would buy that instantly.
I could shit that together at some point for you and give you a link to it. It'd be fun to do. I don't think I can make that a long print, because it would have copyrighted material on it, but I can make one specifically for you.
That's fine.
And then for the general public, it'll be just a season what shirt if you're interested in it.
Yeah. But I feel like one of my and this applies to all the fan bases in general that I feel like we'll touch upon, is when changes happen in franchises, when people are being moaning about like, hey, we want this change to happen, and then when it does happen, no, it can't happen. Pokemon is the prime example of that.
Yeah.
Even though I'm sorry, I'll let you go in a second, Tyler. But even though since Gen 1 that has been happening, we've literally had in the games a new protagonist.
Yeah. And let's be realistic, like, no game has really, had the same feel world-wise. Like, you've always had monsters, you always had, a protagonist, you've always had a team out there that you have to beat. But, like, other than that, like, every game has had its own little feel, its own little universe. Yeah. There's no consistency there.
And then people are like, I can't play these games anymore. Why? I just can't keep up with all these Pokemon, even though that was the whole fun of Pokemon. It's like, hey, what does this creature do? Oh,
no,
what's
Luke,
this type?
I want to have my Charizard from when I was 5 to come over to every fucking game, and that is the only Pokemon I will ever use ever.
And then you say to the guy, like, hey, let Charizard have a break. He was the ace Pokemon of the last champion. Instant block on YouTube, on Twitter, and I'm not calling it X. It's Twitter.
No, you're right. I refuse to call it X. But yeah, like I am very much guilty of the wanting all of my Pokemon to exist forever. That's why they're sitting in Pokemon Home now.
Yeah, and I'll say now, Mimikyu is my favorite Pokemon. But if it came out and it was announced that hey, the 10th generation Pokemon is not going to have Mimikyu, I'd be like, oh okay, at least okay. What have they got? Oh, I like this Pokemon. Okay, I'll have that. I like this Pokemon. Oh, I have that new Pokemon. Oh, that Pokemon's cool. I'll have that.
Okay, but let's be real. The fact that there's a sentient fucking trash bag shows that they don't know what the hell they're doing anymore.
Okay,
trash bag is awesome.
Vex, I will disagree with you on that 100%, because what did we have in Generation 1? We had a sentient Pokeball, we had a bird, and we had a Pokemon literally based
but birds exist. They're a thing. They might be government drones, but they exist.
And we had literal sludge with its evolution being a certain word spelt backwards.
Yeah, that's what you find under the showers at any college campus. Okay, that's a real thing.
You cannot complain about the trash bag Pokemon.
Okay. I'll give you the trash bag. How about the fucking keys?
What again?
Wrong with arms and a face.
Again, we'll bring back to Generation 1. Upside down Pokeball. Eggs that are not eggs, even though they should be eggs.
There's a crab Pokemon named Krabby.
Yes!
And a seal Pokemon called fucking Seal.
And the crabs are what happens when you go to Fire Island, okay?
Oh, here we go. We're having Vex being the toxic fan here right now.
I had to channel my inner Twitter. Sorry.
Yeah, okay, yeah. But yeah, that's basically what it's like with Pokemon. Like, literally, anything new about... Like, I guarantee those people who were complaining about Garbodor and Klefki back in the day are probably using it right now.
I have a fucking Garbodor in my team.
No, not Garbodor. What's its name?
Isn't it fucking Garbodor? 1 second.
How do you pronounce its name again?
Oh, fucking
Garbodor?
Garbodor. No.
Yeah, that's it right there. Yeah,
okay,
Garbodor.
Okay, Klefki and Garbodor. I bet people who were complaining about them back in the day I've used them in that time.
Yeah. I do. I still think its design's fucking stupid, but I use them.
Yeah, you can think the design's stupid, but you can't say that. But it's the case of like Game Freak running out of ideas or don't know what they're doing. No, because stupid ideas have existed since the beginning.
Exactly.
I completely lost my my original trip.
My toxic Twitter voice got you.
Yeah, the toxic Twitter voice got a. But yeah, bottom line, Pokemon fan base. If you don't like change, then stop playing Pokemon.
I feel like they can be applied to everything here.
Oh, it can be, and also as well to all those people who are like, hey, I'll watch every episode of Pokemon, but not every episode of One Piece because it's too long, even though the Pokemon anime is longer than the One Piece anime. But yeah, the changes apply to every franchise. Case in point, Yu-Gi-Oh! And given that we're doing the progression series, I feel like it was only inevitable that this would be coming up.
Yup.
Yeah. Yugi. We have to have Yugi. We have to have Yugi all the time. For Neverworld going, ew, why can't my childhood end? Even though I want 50,000 episodes of Dragon Ball.
Sigh. Heavy voices. Puts round in chamber.
Yeah, and I'll just say this as well. Like going back, I feel like this will probably have to happen at some point. Go back and watch the original Yu-Gi-Oh series. Like, if there was one criticism I would say about the original Yu-Gi-Oh series is that none of the characters have any character development.
What? Really?
Okay. Oh, okay, maybe Yugi, but and
Yugi and Kaiba are the only two that really developed other than Bakura, and Bakura didn't get any goddamn development till near the end when they made him the main villain.
Okay, that's fair enough. But I meant I should have
Tell me what in that series Tristan's dumb fucking ass did.
I was gonna say that was
something Taya did.
That's what I was mainly referring to. I'm sorry, Yugi. Sorry, Kaiba. I love you. I'm sorry.
Kaiba has enough petty in him that he made a goddamn space station to bring the Pharaoh back.
and I want to go to that space station. It's not a space station. It's literally Thunderbird 5 from the Thunderbirds. Like, look at that. Look at its space station. Look at Thunderbird 5 and tell me that he did not base that design off it.
Like, I strive to be as petty as Seto fucking Kaiba.
Well, you want to know what you need to do, Fex? The first thing you need to do is get a briefcase, fill it up with Yu-Gi-Oh cards, go up to someone with your favorite Yu-Gi-Oh card and say, "I'll trade it all for this."
And then when they say no, you kidnap them.
Yeah, and then force them to a death game.
Yeah, and then.
Kaiba was PG's fucking Jigsaw. Changed my mind.
No, you're right. But yeah, the ones that I really want to focus on are Tristan and Taya. Like, anybody out there who claim like, the original Yu-Gi-Oh had the best characters, best main cast. Okay, name me one thing that Tristan and Taya did after Judas Kingdom.
Well, Tristan hit on Joey's blind sister.
Which, if that's not creepy, I don't know what is.
And Taya did some Dance Revolution shit. That's about it.
Oh wow. And of course, everybody's favorite character that got the most development ever, the Princess Peach of Yu-Gi-Oh! Mokuba.
The Princess Peach of Mokuba.
Which is crazy considering what Kaiba did in the virtual game. He literally made a princess clone of Mokuba.
Your princess is in another castle, Kaiba boy.
Like, literally, can somebody please tell me what the point of Mokuba was other to make Seto Kaiba look good?
Nothing.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Make Gozaburo look like more of a dickhead.
Mokuba with a brick.
Yeah.
And in comparison, that brick would be my favorite character.
And anybody who doesn't like us talking crap about Yu-Gi-Oh, this is coming from like the biggest Yu-Gi-Oh fanboy ever.
This is coming from somebody that owns this series on DVD.
This is coming from someone who's literally looking at the entire first season on DVD right now. But then we have the shift. We have the series ending, so they make the spin-off series, and everybody shits on them until they actually watch the series. That is what I think. Like,
I gotta go grab my DoorDash. I'll be right back.
Okay, that I feel is like one of the most toxic things ever. It's like they'll moan about the series before they've actually watched it, and then when they've watched it, they realize, oh, this is actually pretty good right now. I was wrong about it, and then they won't even admit that they were wrong about it. It's like, come on, just say, hey, I was wrong to criticize this before I actually watched it.
Don't judge a book by its cover.
Like the case in point, and I feel like even little Karibo is guilty of this because he was making all those jokes back in the day about Yu-Gi-Oh 5D's. Oh, card games on motorcycles, blah 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 blah. But then when he actually watched the series, he admitted to loving it. So, yeah, and again, it might be because of the fact that it's like the whole change aspects about it. Like, it's so radically different from what we're used to, what we're used to, that we automatically hate it. Even though, again,
this is stupid.
Here we go again. This is I get the feeling. I can actually say this. I get the feeling that these people are being more autistic than an actual autistic person, because like one of the stereotypical things about autistic people is like, we don't like change, but yet here I am saying like, yeah, change needs to happen.
Yeah, like change is good sometimes, guys. Maybe be more accepting of it until like the series turns to absolute shit. There really
Yeah.
hasn't been anything bad about any Yu-Gi-Oh series that I've watched. There's been some pacing issues, but that's every series.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And from what I've seen of Arc V, because it's when I kind of like went into a bit of like, hey, I'm stopping watching Yu-Gi-Oh! Not because I don't like it, I just life kind of gets in the way. But from what I saw of the first like 30 episodes of Arc 5, I was very impressed.
Mhm.
Yeah. So go
We
ahead.
got dancing hippos. This is the greatest shit ever.
I know. Okay, Fex. I know you're not looking forward to the pendulums, but there is one the pendulum era, but there is one card that I absolutely adore from the pendulum set because it's so friggin' cute. I'm gonna post it in this in this Discord message just right now.
Okay. Like I haven't watched a whole lot of Arc 5 either. I watched a couple episodes when it was on like Pluto or the IPTV that was on my my Samsung TV. Because there's like an anime all day channel on there. Caught a couple episodes of it there. Because they were airing like 5Ds, they were airing that. Oh my fucking god, that's adorable.
Yes, I know. When I saw that, I was like, "Oh my god, I want that." I mean, I don't know what it does, but it's just so cute. And when she's summoned in the anime, it's like she'll be like, "Hey, oh, I'm incredibly shy. I'm gonna hide behind my pom poms."
That's cute. I caught a couple episodes there. Sorry, I'm eating. Caught a couple episodes of it there. I caught some V Range. I've never seen really anything of Sevens or Go Rush or any of that shit.
I've seen a bit of Sevens. From what I hear about Go Rush is that it's a prequel as well as being a sequel because it involves time travel.
Of course it fucking does.
Time travel is bullshit. But like, I feel like Arc 5, it's good, but then it gets like into like the multiverse shit, which is like,
which we kind of knew was coming at some point because of the fact that it's canonically confirmed that
split in 5Ds.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Yeah, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Timeline split at 5Ds. So it's like you have CO, Sex, or whatever you want to call it on one timeline, and then Arc 5 on another timeline.
Yeah, so I mean, it was coming. We didn't know when, but it was inevitable. But
yeah. And it might be the case with Pokemon now, with Pokemon Horizons, that could potentially be in another universe separate from Ash's universe.
Isn't it confirmed that that's Ash's kid though?
No, it's been revealed who Leeko's parents are.
Okay, cool. That's how much I knew. So that's interesting. Like, and like I fell out of playing the card game. I've said this many times since like when the pendulums came out because it just kind of turned into Magic.
pendulum.
But yeah, like though that was the era I kind of fell out from playing it. I went back in during the beginning of Master Duel, so I know a little bit of it. But I do feel like the card side of it too is just as messy. You have people that bitch every ban list. You have people that fucking wail for this game that cause like this market to be absolutely absurd. Go ahead.
Yeah. And can you imagine if it had gone the way of the original manga, when it was just meant to be just about a variety of games rather than just this one game?
Be interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, I was going to say I kind of fell out of around the pendulum. I think it was because of the fact that they were just so broken at the time. It's like all you'd have to do is put down, say, hey, this is a 5-scale monster. This is a 1-scale monster. So now you can summon as many monsters to field that are in between those two scale areas, and you would get monsters that are like, oh, we are 3 scales, but we're like 3,000 attack.
Jesus fucking Christ! Please actually end me.
Yeah, and it was just so annoying because they would never go to the graveyard. They would always go back to the extra deck.
Because it's like a pendulum swinging back and forth, back and forth.
I get that. I do get that, but it doesn't make it any less annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was waiting for someone else to say something.
Well, until that pendulum gets stopped in somebody's hand, which can be shown by pendulum monsters going to the extra monster zone and sitting up there like a big piece of sadness.
I'm sure we'll get into more of this discourse when we get to the Pendulum era and the progression
Yeah.
series. But like, there's a lot of this on, especially like right now, with the Master Duel being like this antithesis to the actual card game as well, because it seems to have like a better landscape for play than the actual like traditional TCG, because Konami seems to care more about making it playable than they do their actual goddamn game.
Yeah, which I feel like that's all come about because of the fact that it came out pretty much around when the pandemic was happening. So like nobody could actually go out and do the card game normally at that moment in time.
Well, you had remote duels, which was how they were kind of doing like tournaments, I guess.
Oh, okay.
But like I saw Ann Arbor retweeted like Yu-Gi-Oh players are on a different level because there was a dude who was asking for like judges' rulings, like because they were in the middle of a fucking war zone and they were going to do like remote duels for their tournament. Like, because they're in a war zone, they might have to evacuate. They didn't know if like moving the actual play location from bunker to bunker would be considered like stopping the duel.
Wow.
Which is devotion to something that I would never have. Like, that would be the last thing on my mind in a war zone is playing fucking Yu-Gi-Oh.
So basically, I've got to say this. The joke about the card game dictating the fate of mankind, that's actually come into real life now. Now that you've mentioned that,
yeah, it just blew my mind because like my ass would be more worried about like, am I going to live to see tomorrow than playing fucking Yu-Gi-Oh through a webcam in the middle of the fucking war zone.
No, the blue eyes means more than this AK-47.
Just put the Kaiba logo on, it'll be more powerful, right? That's how that works.
Yes.
I mean, well, in all honesty, technically that's canon because all fucking Gozaburo really used to do was he was a fucking war criminal, right?
Yes. Well, technically that's a filler arc, so it's not canon to the original series. But yeah, you're right.
Kaiba blowing up his war criminal dad's island.
And then his war criminal dad's ghost tries to get him, and he's like, nope, I won't let you win.
Yu-Gi-Oh, everyone! Isn't it great?
Yeah.
At least this fucking filler is more fun than Naruto's. Which we'll get to eventually.
Oh god, I like I said, Fex, the only thing that's truly broken me is a certain horse in a certain series.
Oh, you mean the lovely rape horse in Berserk? That's what broke you?
Oh, yeah, we can't say that word.
We're an hour in. If YouTube's checking that word at this far in, I'm going to be shocked. And considering the first 30 minutes of this was me saying fuck every third word, we're not getting ads on this.
No. I would honestly be surprised if we did get ads for that, but not for the Sword-On video.
Still trying to wrap my head around that one.
But yeah, so I had a few more that I had on my mind. So one of them being people who well, we've already touched on this. Well, not really, but people who claim things are woke today but not back then. Yeah. Case in point, Power Rangers with the Red Ranger and Cosmic Fury, even though we've had Red Rangers before that are female.
Oh, no, Luke, no, we haven't. Samurai doesn't exist, and Squad A doesn't exist, apparently.
Yeah, and apparently we having a canonical lesbian couple is not allowed, even though we've had diversity.
You know, that one really baffles me. That one really baffles me on a different level, because usually cis men love seeing lesbians in media.
Yeah, I don't really get that. And then people say like Power Rangers has gone woke because of all these things in Cosmic Fury, and I always go back to episode 5 of season 1 when a hard of hearing character was the MVP of that episode.
Yeah, that like I really want those people bitching about it being woke to go back and rewatch season 1 of MMPR. Because you have diversity from season 1 on down. Yeah, you had a Black Ranger, you had an Asian Ranger that was the Yellow Ranger. That's definitely not racist coded, but you've had diversity inclusions there since episode 1. And then episode 5, you had the hard of hearing person. You've had canonical female Red Rangers. You've had all of this shit from the beginning of the franchise, but you're bitching and moaning to hear yourself bitch and moan because you want social media points, and that's what it boils down to.
Yeah,
ever since the Trump era, we've seen this more and more, and I hate to get political, but that's what really brought it on, because he really thrived solely on rage politics.
Yeah. Oh, no facts. We can't have politics in our media, even though there's been politics in Power Rangers before.
I don't know what to tell you if you don't see the fact that Space Patrol Delta is political, or Time Force, where you're a literal fucking time cop, is political.
Yeah, or talking about the fact that we had discrimination against this race of people because they were born differently. In the case of Franzik,
like, media literacy is a lost art at this point.
Absolutely. And there was one other point that I wanted to bring up.
One Piece. That's all politics.
Not just One Piece, but also when people are like, Doctor Who has gone woke, and how dare it be how dare the Chibnall and Moffat eras be political, when literally in the first season of the revived series there was the episodes in Downing Street, which is basically the home of the UK Prime Minister.
Yeah. Also, he's a fucking illegal alien. Literally.
And also as well in the classic series, there was an episode which literally was written because the riot at the time was pissed off about paying taxes, paying more taxes. So he made the Doctor basically a terrorist that overthrew the government.
Right? Like, how? Of all the shows do we see people bitch about Doctor Who is an alien from another planet here technically illegally,
and also as well, he's technically going against the higher ups
Right.
of his people, because he's meant to be a rebel that's sticking it to the man, even though sometimes he is the man. I
Right.
don't get that. But also as well, in Jodie Whittaker's first season, when they were bitching about like, oh, a man, we're seeing a male pregnancy, and then when people rightfully called out like, Red Dwarf did that back in the 80s, they were like, it was a different time back then. People weren't such sensitive snowflakes.
You're the snowflake. You're the snowflake. The one bitching about this is the fucking snowflake.
Yes.
Go get a mirror.
Yeah, and also as well, the Doctor. I don't remember. I don't think I remember seeing this, but it was bound to be out there at some point. The female Doctor being in a sort of relationship with their female companion. Somebody had to have said that, and to that I'll say like, what about Captain Jack Harkness, who is a canonical pansexual?
Listen, I don't understand anything about Doctor Who fandom because I'm not a fan of it. Like, I'm not the biggest.
And that's fine.
Like, but I've seen enough bitching and moaning, like, online to understand, like, there's enough discourse out there to fill an entire shoebox of fucking documents. But
there is. There really is. And again, going back to Doctor Who isn't political. Literally, second story from the classic series, you get introduced to the Daleks, who are basically the most
racists.
If you cannot get any more political than the Daleks, if you cannot understand that the Daleks are the most political thing in sci-fi, then I'm sorry you're living under a rock, because they literally talk about exterminate anybody who is not Dalek. Their creator is basically an allegory for Hitler, to the point that in his first episode he had basically Hitler, the right hand man of Hitler, personnel.
Yeah, like I've watched maybe a season and a half of the reboot of Doctor Who with Red, and even I got that, like, the second I saw the Daleks on that. Like, it's just coded, to be the Nazis. Like, it's genocide. Like, that's the entire goal of the fucking Daleks.
Yeah, and literally a German fan of the show came up to Peter Capaldi and said, are the Daleks based on the Nazis? And he basically outright said, yeah, they are.
How the fuck could you not get that? Are you stupid? I really believe that we need to start teaching media literacy classes.
Oh, absolutely.
I agree.
Because then you won't get people moaning about stuff like this, and especially in One Piece. So we can finally move on to One Piece.
One Piece.
Luffy is a terrorist.
Do we begin?
Let's see. On one side, there are people that are like, oh, One Piece is supposed to be a serious story about serious issues.
When you have literally a rubber boy who blows into his thumb and creates like a giant balloon hand.
And on the other side, you have people who think One Piece is supposed to be all goofy when
you literally have slavery happening, and quite possibly the most messed up thing happening, when you can literally be turned into a toy, be forgotten by everyone in the world, to the point that your wife dies forgetting who you are.
Yeah. Like, here's the thing about being, like, serious and goofy. You don't have to pick one or the other.
Yeah.
You can do both.
That is life as well. That is what happens in life. Life is full of, hey, we have goofy moments, like what we're doing right now, just goofily bashing toxic fandoms. But on the other hand, in life, we have serious moments.
Yeah. I'm
And
just sitting here letting y'all talk about
and
One
I
Piece
want-
while I finish my lunch/dinner.
and I want my mic drop for that. But yeah, I really don't get the fan base sometimes. Now when they honestly do point out like, yeah, this could have been done better, that's fine. But when they're just straight up saying stuff that really doesn't add up based on the evidence shown in the series, it's like, come on, go out there and touch grass. I feel like one of the most infuriating things about the fan base is when is all the crap that's going on Twitter.
Yeah.
Like, can we just all collectively agree that if Twitter goes down, it will probably be one of the best days in history?
Yes.
Like, I love the ability to network on that app. I really do. But my God, every day I log onto that site, I feel like I aged 10 years.
Yeah. And
it didn't used to be that bad. It really didn't. It really got, and I hate saying it, but like it got worse when Elon took over because he just allows like unfettered access to everything from like bots to fucking, allowing actual hate speech to be on there.
Yep.
Like I see accounts that I have blocked personally still boosted on my front page. Which, the whole fucking function of a block button is to, I don't want to see this content anymore. But he'll allow them to make like 6, 7, 8 accounts. And it's like, oh, great. I still got to see this con on my front page. And just literally, it's a paid advertisement too. So you see fucking Nazism literally promoted on the front page of Twitter.
Yeah. But
There's a reason why I got rid of my Twitter account. There's a reason why I got rid of Twitter.
There's a reason why I don't really post anything on Twitter anymore because of that. Because literally, you could post one thing and then people will be like say for example, if I was to post like, yeah, I don't really care for the last half of Wano, I would have most of the One Piece fanboys. But
is that really a hot take? Like, I thought Wano wasn't really that well liked by a lot of people.
I don't know about Tyler, but I've seen people defending it. But in my opinion, the Egghead arc, which we're in right now, is better than Wano. It's better than the whole of Wano.
Yeah, Brad was saying the same thing.
And I will die on a hill with that take.
Honestly, currently, I typically don't like judging arcs before they're completed. But right now, they're on an equal playing field for me.
Okay, fair enough. You see, Twitter, that is a civilized discussion.
It's not, sitting on the front page and like, Kagurabachi clears One Piece.
Oh my God. That's when a series has a really good first chapter and they're just like, this is going to be the greatest thing ever.
See, the thing was that fucking first chapter hadn't even legally been released. They were reading the scans and hyping the shit up, and I read it and I'm like, you're just reading Demon Slayer. You're literally reading Demon Slayer.
Yeah.
Congrats. That'd be like me going in and saying like Naruto's the greatest thing ever when it first dropped because I'm reading fucking Dragon Ball.
But yeah, and I feel like a lot of it, a lot of the toxicity comes from when people are like, hey, I don't particularly like this character, and they're just like, how dare you say that? This character is so awesome and so cool. Like, I am not the biggest Zoro fan in One Piece.
How dare you?
Yeah, how dare I? It's like I honestly believe Brook is a better Straw Hat than Zoro.
Okay. Okay. Hancock or Nami?
Well, considering Hancock Hancock only has eyes for Luffy, I'd go with Nami.
I think Nami's the most
Robin.
boring fucking character. If I put Nico fucking Robin in there, it'd be no contest, okay? Everybody simps for Nico.
But with Brook and why I prefer him so, I just think Brook has much more going for him. As an actual character.
Yeah, no, you're right. Like I love Zoro because I love a swordsman, but and this is somebody
Honestly,
that
like I think
this is somebody that's not caught up with One Piece. You know.
I think the thing is with Zoro, a lot of his character development, a lot of his development is like very subtle.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
yeah, but also as well,
very
I don't.
thrown in your face.
Yeah, fair enough. But also as well, I don't know if you would necessarily agree with this, Tyler, but I feel like a lot of Zoro's development as well comes from how he is around other people as opposed to himself.
Fair enough.
Yeah, cause his development as as what drives him, it comes from the fact that he's trying to live up to Kuina, to keep that promise of being the greatest swordsman, and what becomes of his defining moment as a character with the nothing happens scene. That all comes from the fact that he's willing to sacrifice himself for Luffy. So that's just my way of looking at it. Like his development comes from like how others around him influence him, as opposed to him being an influence to others. If that makes sense.
But I feel like that could also be interpreted as like Luffy and Zoro kind of being like opposite sides of the same coin.
And that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
And not to mention, like, for most of Zoro's life, he's been on his own. Like, he spent most of his time as like a freaking bounty hunter.
Going after Wicked Dick. I just wanted to mention Wicked Dick. The greatest One Piece character ever.
I can't imagine like being a bounty hunter is a very social life.
Yeah,
no.
It's not at all. I would assume so. It makes sense.
Yeah. But I'm just gonna say this as like a controversial take as well. But I don't know if others agree with others would agree with me. And they could be as toxic as they want at this point. But I honestly prefer the first half of One Piece to the second half.
I would understand, but respectfully disagree.
Okay. I just feel like when we got to Wano and after Wano ended, I was like, finally, we can finally get back to adventure that's not like, hey, we need to go to point A, we need to go to this point, then we need to go to this point, then we get sidetracked, and then we need to go to this point. Yeah. I feel like that's what the second half of One Piece has lacked, which we've gotten back in Egghead, because from Punk Acid to Wano, we always had like, okay, we know where the set destination is going to be, whereas in the first half of the series, we didn't know where we would be going next.
I mean, to be fair, the first half also had this, because initially they wanted to go from Water 7 to Fishman Island, then they got stopped in the Florian Triangle, then they went to Thriller Bark, and they went to Sabaody.
Okay, I will agree with you on that front.
And then the Straw Hats got separated. You get my point.
Yeah, I get your point. But I just prefer because it was mostly like we didn't know where we were going next.
I'll be right back, guys.
At points, but okay. I get where you're coming from. So I kind of understand, but I just prefer the more sense of adventure to like, oh, we're now in the new world, and now we have to face down the Yonko. Because honestly, I don't find Kaido and Big Mom interesting as characters and as villains.
But also, to be fair, like we've gotten characters like Doflamingo and Katakuri, and I don't think Law would be as big of a character as he is if it weren't for like Dressrosa.
And that's fair. That is fair. And I will admit, Law is one of my favorite characters.
We've also got Yamato. For as much of a headache as they cause me, they are a big popular fan favorite character.
Oh, yeah. I feel like Yamato. Like this is just my take on Yamato as a character. Is that I feel like Oda wanted to do because I don't know if you noticed, but Yamato when Yamato is introduced, I feel like Oda wanted Yamato to be what Tama was at the beginning of the arc. If you noticed that,
yeah,
and I just feel like what was the point of doing? What was the point of bringing in Yamato if you were just going to do the same thing that you already did with Tama with Yamato? If you get what I mean.
Hmm.
Now, granted, Yamato does have really awesome moments, so I will admit that. But I just feel like okay, Oda was building up Yamato to join the Straw Hats, right?
and
We were prepping for that, but then completely backtracked on it, and that's what I feel infuriates me the most about Yamato.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But again, we have Jinbei officially joining the crew, so I feel as someone who prefers Jinbei to Yamato, I mean Jinbei's my favorite.
I can understand that.
Not to mention, like, this arc has had some of the best fights in the series. I'll say that straight up. Like, I think Robin versus Black Arachnia, I think that's the best fight of this arc, and one of the best post-time skip fights. Luffy and company versus Kaido, also very entertaining. Sanji versus Queen, Frankie versus Sasaki, Jinbei versus Who's Who, which kind of set up like the whole history of the Nika fruit.
Which that's a whole topic in of itself that gets the fan base riled up.
Yeah.
Like, does the Nika fruit take away from Luffy's development? Because it's and I don't know because I've not watched Naruto, but it's sort of similar to what happens in Naruto, isn't it?
I mean, like, in what way?
In like, from what I understand, Naruto at the beginning of the series was talking about like, I'm not gonna rely on being a special one to climb to the top when he really is the special one.
Yeah.
Well, being the special person was was like.
Whereas and with Luffy's devil fruit seemed like the most normal thing ever, but the way he used it adaptively was endearing about it. But nope, it's the biggest. It's the fruit of a god.
I mean, so is the human fruit model Daibutsu. That's literally the freaking Buddha.
Yeah, but
so are like all the mythological creatures and all that.
Yeah, but it was more of a case of like it. I don't feel it had like. This is just, I've always said this, I don't feel it had enough foreshadowing that Luffy's fruit was what it was. Really. Like if they,
I mean,
if they had said more thing, and everybody like really gets enraged when I say that. Like there's been people who have put like paragraphs upon paragraphs about me saying like when I say that I don't feel Luffy's devil fruit was really built up to being this big reveal, that as big of a reveal as it was. People have just thrown like paragraphs upon paragraphs upon paragraphs at me because of it.
I mean, we did get that like we got the fact that the world government was after this fruit. And like we have the fact that like well, that not really the fact that they suppressed its true nature. Like I feel like the main setup factor here was Jinbei versus Who's Who. Like, but like, Luffy's devil fruit can set fire underwater. I think we can both agree that's not very... Like, even with as wacky as One Piece and devil fruits can get, I don't think if you put Ace in that scenario, I don't think he'd be able to set fire underwater.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Now, with that all being said, I do like that it turns Luffy into a cartoon.
Oh, I absolutely, especially in the anime. My God, they go all out.
Yeah, but that's just my hot take about One Piece and the talk and the fan base, and just showcasing like how the fan base will just try to defend an opinion I have about Luffy's devil fruit to the nth degree, to the point that I was just like, you know what, I really don't have time for this.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I'm back. So
this isn't. Oh, welcome back.
I think like we should get to the death battle bit really quick.
Yeah,
because we're hitting
I mean, there was
an hour and a half on this.
Oh wow. I mean, there was
Sorry.
just one other topic before we got to the death battle that
Okay.
I had, which
Go ahead.
was the manga fanboys who bitch and moan about anime in every single detail.
That is a valid one. Like I'm not concerned about time. I just don't want it to go too long.
Okay, but this was the last one that I had on my list.
Okay.
Before the death battle one.
So you know those types of people that analyze every single in between frame on Twitter? Yeah, that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, all the ones who will be like, how dare they cut this from the manga? Like I'm here, like particularly the people who have been compared. Now, granted, with most of them, they've been pretty cool about it, pretty cool about the changes that have happened with the Thousand Year Blood War, taking out the unnecessary repeated dialogue. But then there'll be people out there who are like, we want the unnecessary repeated dialogue.
I just want to see some big old melons in the anime. That's all I care about.
Yeah, and
those people on Twitter are the ones that are just like, why though? Porn exists if you're that porn brained. Go to the hub.
Or when you have people who are like, oh, this character's hair is wrong. Like, oh, there's not enough muscle on this character, and I'm just there thinking like, how is there not enough muscle on this character? It's like, well, compared to the manga. Yeah.
I will say I do want to see Yoruichi's booty jiggle. That's all I care about. I am the biggest hypocrite there.
I will say, like, there is, like, you know, good stuff that can, like, come out of, like, dissecting stuff from, like, you know, if you're, like, trying to learn how, like, something gets produced.
Oh, absolutely.
And, like,
absolutely, but that's not what we're talking. We're talking about the people who will like literally have the manga panels right next to them and be like, "No, this is not how it went in the manga." Even though it's literally like in the manga. Say for example, it would have a line like going like, "Hello there, and then the immediate next panel is the same exact panel, but just like yo there, and then they'll be like, hey, and then the anime will take out like say the yo there part, and people are just like, no, they can't take out that line. That's really important, even though it's the exact same line.
It's brain function. So the shitting on the Americanization of it is one aspect, like where they try and make it more accessible to all audiences, right? So like slang you would see in, say, a Scanlation site versus the official translation.
And they don't like the official translation, so
right,
they're like, we're gonna go for the pirate ones.
Yeah, we see that in anime. So like their only experience is like from Manga Panda, or Manga Dex versus Viz. So they're used to the fan translation. So they're like, but right here it says in the official version that they're adapting it from. You're fucking idiot.
And people are like, we've got to support the official release, but when we don't like the official release, we're like, we're going to use scanlations.
But
even though the official release goes back to the author.
Right. But like, I've seen some of that on Twitter and on, just in general. But I really haven't seen a lot of people lately dissecting to a microscopic level, which is a good departure. I've seen some people like, okay, this animation's rough. With like Ayakashi Triangle when it first got revealed, like the first teasers. Like even I was saying that looked rough.
And when the first teaser poster for Mission Yosako Family got revealed, I was a bit like, I don't really agree with this. But then when now that we've actually got the official, like, hey, these are what the characters are going to look like in the anime, like, okay, that looks a lot better.
Yeah, it's one of those where I'm like, okay, cool. Like it's getting better, and obviously, like when stuff gets revealed, you're getting one still, or like stills of certain characters and not a whole lot of like in motion stuff. And animation obviously has to be in motion for you to see exactly what's going on, so it's really weird to see like just the teaser image, right? Because it's not it's not how it's going to look fully.
Yeah.
But that's when you get the most reactionary side of it. Like, oh, it looks like shit. Well, it's a frame of the fucking anime. Chill. We haven't seen a trailer yet. Now, if it's the same ugly animation in a trailer, then I'll be a little bit more critical of it, Where I'm like, okay, I'm not a fan of how this looks, but it doesn't mean it's not going to be a good adaptation.
Yeah. And now the anime side is not off the hook either, because it's like you'll get the anime toxic people who are just like going on Twitter, and then they'll see somebody like, hey, I can't wait for this character to show up in the anime, and they're just like, dude, that's a spoiler. I'm trying to watch it completely blind.
How are you watching something completely blind when 9 out of 10 shows are adapted? You'll get, like, the occasional anime original series. Like, Kill la Kill was originally anime only. And then we got a manga after. Darling in the Franxx was the same way. Like, you eventually got a manga of it. But, like, most of the time, it's just anime. It's just an adaptation. So, like, the fucking Makima being the Control Devil, it's not a spoiler. It's been out there in the wild for fucking years.
This is this perfectly goes into what we were going to talk about with the death battle, because next death battle is Gojo versus Makima, and
you got a dead character versus a dead character, which is really fitting.
As long as like death battle is like gives a spoiler warning for like both analyses,
they're not gonna do it.
We know damn well they're not going to do that.
They have done it.
Really? I've never seen that.
They did it for Blake versus Mikasa. They gave a spoiler. Okay, I mean, granted, it was in a corner box, but
okay,
they did give a spoiler.
But
that's more than they used to do.
Yeah, that's more than they used to. Because I remember back in the day, one reaction channel got really super annoyed when they revealed that in Fairy Tail, Seraph's older brother, Seraph was Natsu's older brother.
No,
Because they were
how
like,
dare you
"We're in
spoil that for me?
yeah, and it's just like, don't you know how Death Battle operates?
They're using
But the weird thing
feats.
is they did a spoiler warning for Ace's death.
Really?
Yeah, they did. They went huge spoiler warning in 3, 2, 1. Yeah, he's dead.
Oh god, I didn't watch that one. So
Yeah, it was Ace versus Ace versus Natsu. So it was the same. It was the same video. But yeah, I am just going into a bunker because I am waiting for every single person who's anime owning Chainsaw Man going with them going and Makima, the control devil from Chainsaw Man. Wait, she's the control devil? What more? I'm only watching the anime. Like, don't spoil that for me.
we know Gojo's gonna win, right? Like that's pretty obvious, right?
Yeah, but at this point, I've wanted to get into Jujutsu Kaisen, but all I keep seeing is it's the Gojo show. It's all about Gojo.
The two best characters are dead, Gojo and Panda. You don't really need to watch it.
And I'm just there thinking like, oh, can you say something else about the series that doesn't revolve around Gojo?
I want Gojo's tight little pussy. That's all I want.
Yeah, so that's why I'm kind of like a bit. I mean, it'll be like if I was going around saying, doing what I'm doing with the Time Force video, just being like having fangasms all over Twitter about like, hey, Wes is the best Red Rage ever. Wes is the best Red Rage ever. Like that would get annoying.
Like, I don't care. Like, it's you're allowed to like a character. Like, it's so toxic when people shit on people for just fanboying over a single character, you know? Like,
but then they'll do the exact same thing.
I get the love for Gojo. He's an intriguing character. He's like this mischievous little boy. Well, he's not a little boy. He's a fucking old man. But like he's like this.
He's in his 20s.
He's a little guy, you know. He's just a little mischievous little guy, you know.
Compared to us, Tyler, he is a little boy.
Honestly, like anybody 20 or under is a boy to me at this point.
Oh, screw you!
I'm an old fuck. I'm in my 30s. I can't help it. I see
you are not old, Max. No,
I see the youthful twinkle in somebody's eye, and I'm like, that's a child.
But yeah, I think the main point about this whole section with the Death Battle fanbase is when people take it way too seriously.
I was in them.
Yeah, I have said this before. I will say. I'm sorry, Vex. I'm good.
I was in those trenches. I was on the forums back in the day. Like, I've seen the absolute shit show that is this community.
Yeah, I'm like, look, I have been a fan of Death Battle for ever since 2015. I have been with this community for 8 years. And some of you need to learn that this isn't as serious as you make it out to be. Especially, like, the Death Battle haters.
I am one of them.
I've seen people be like, "Oh, Death Battle wants to cap. Death Battle's biased." Firstly, there is no greater bias than you calling somebody biased. Secondly, and I will say this till the cows come home, versus debating is subjective.
Yes.
Yeah,
it is.
It's like, go ahead.
It is. That's the thing that I don't fucking understand with these people is like I hate Death Battle as a concept now because it's been taken so seriously. Because everybody takes it as the be-all, end-all for what makes a character good or bad. If it can't be Goku, it's a shit character.
Yeah, and that's another thing. That's another video that we had in the pipelines because Tyler brought it up. Like, whenever a character loses, some people are like whenever a character loses one fight, even though they've won every single fight up to that point, they lose one fight. All of a sudden, they're a crusty character. They can't win anything.
Yep. That'll come eventually, but like it's the can it beat Goku though argument that really turned me off of Death Battle. Like it's so stupid.
And like
literally, it got to a point where Tekken was making as a joke Aizen's chair, which is coming up in the next core of Thousand Year Blood War, and he just had a bunch of characters, and this was as a joke, a bunch of characters coming out saying like the chair could be this character, this character, this character, this character, and it was obviously meant to be taken as a joke. But then when it got to Goku, people would say like, "Oh, Goku could beat that chair. What are you talking about?"
Fucking hell. I forgot that video existed.
Like, and just like it's a bit of elaboration on my whole thing about versus debating is subjective. Firstly, versus debaters are people who have an outside perspective, meaning they haven't read the story, taking fictional characters and giving basically estimations, like you like they are estimated because we don't see people destroying planets in our real life. And not to mention, these versus debaters are pretty much, most of the time, amateurs who do not have the scientific or physics understanding to get most of this shit. And I'm sorry, but if you believe your understanding about where a character is in terms of power is completely objective and that your idea of it is right, I'm gonna say this right now, you are a pretentious, arrogant douchebag. Straight up.
What?
Mic drop.
What? Tyler, I know that fucking Goku has the power of 7 nuclear bombs and can destroy an entire galaxy. How dare you say I'm a pretentious douchebag?
Yeah, and also as well, it's like people take Death Battle, see a character, like you said, see a character losing, and feel like that ruins the character. It does not, because basically, and I'll say this to everyone out there, and we need to put this on a t-shirt, Fex, Death Battle is glorified fan fiction.
Yeah, I'm not making 1,000 shirts.
That's why I like it.
Exactly, like that's what's so fun about it when it's done right. It's just fanfic. Like you're just watching people create, or reading people create these debates about like what character is better, but like at destroying each other. It's so much fun to watch things beat each other up. That's why the UFC is so popular.
Yeah, like they're like the fact that they are not the end all be all. Like there's a reason why they stopped saying let's end this debate once and for all, because it's not meant to be a bookend.
Right.
Yeah, and that's a good thing because if they had said that with the Popeye versus Saitama video, I feel like a lot of people would be a lot more pissed off at that, even more so than they would. And I'm particularly one particular YouTuber, Renegade Media. Oh, what was that?
Oh my god! Like I still don't understand why those two went up against each other, other than they're just gag characters, I guess. But like, fucking Saitama's not meant to be taken seriously at all. Like he's a parody.
I mean, neither is Popeye, but
Popeye's just a cartoon character, though. Like nothing in cartoons is meant to be taken super seriously. I don't think.
Like imagine Luffy versus Popeye now that Luffy's a cartoon, basically.
Please don't give them any ideas.
I remember somebody saying Luffy could beat Plastic Man. I'm like, what the fuck are you on?
I mean, Plastic Man's not exactly the most powerful superhero on the planet. But like, I don't see that one even being debatable, to be
The
honest.
the only I feel like death battles that don't cause up any controversy whatsoever are the parody ones, like say like for example Deadpool versus Pinkie Pie.
You did not see the shit show that was the forums when Pinkie Pie was involved in a fucking death battle.
No, I
I
didn't.
mean, uh, like
But go
to
ahead.
be fair, like people were. I mean, at least from my experience, like people were like pretty chill when it came to like Cole McGrath versus Alex Mercer, mainly because it was like a very like requested episode.
Yeah, I didn't see
Uh,
too much about that, but I don't really follow this particular form of media that much anymore.
Yeah.
I still say like Guts versus Dimitri and Bill Cipher versus Discord are must watches. Like those two are episodes are fantastic.
I
Yeah.
would say that if you're the kind of death battle fan who's just watching them just for the fun of watching them, that's fine. We have no problems with it. It's again just the ones who like when they see someone who saw Guts lose to Demetria, they were like, no, this can't be happening. Guts would always win, even though Ann Arbor, who's like the biggest Berserk fan in the world that I've pretty much seen, even he admitted that Guts would lose that fight.
Yeah, like I do I really want the kids to come after me again. Anyway, I feel like in the grand scheme of things, as long as you're taking this as objective like or subjective like fucking entertainment and just looking at it at face value of like, that was cool to watch two people slap their fucking fists together, you're chill. But when you're the type of people that are sending fucking death threats to like Chad James for fucking saying Goku doesn't win against Superman, you're fucking idiot, and maybe you should be in a padded cell because it's not that deep. Like,
No,
fucking fan fiction in general. I've been in the trenches for fanfic for years and years and years. Like I remember when My Immortal came out. Uh, please do not go look that up. Save yourself the few brain cells you have, audience. But that's a whole iceberg. If you wanna lose your sanity, that's one of the oldest pieces of fanfic out there from the Tumblr era. I'm aging myself horribly in this fucking video. But yeah, and I was in the fucking supernatural fanfic circle for a while. And y'all need to be locked up. You need help. Like seriously. Drop your favorite fan fictions if you made it this far in the comments of this video.
I'll say I'll say this right now. My favorite fan fiction that it's a Bleach one that I really want read to read, the one where Yuzu's turned red at A instead of Uryu in the Thousand Year Blood War.
There you go. Just enjoy this cringe if you wanna dive down it. This is an emo fanfic that I am long enough on this earth to have had to fucking go through that. Anyway. You will lose brain cells, guys, if you read that though.
Oh god.
What few you got left after having to deal with the Kontrolled Khaos community. But like this fucking era of the internet has created, I think, the worst outcome possible for some people. And the fact that we've created this cesspool echo chamber online because of social media.
To the point where people who are actually working on the stuff that people claim to be fans of are actually being forced off social media.
Yeah. Like look no further than like Caleb Cook, for example, the translator for a lot of your favorite series. He just locked up his social media and said, fuck it. Y'all ungrateful bitches don't get anything from me anymore. And like that's the reality of what you've created. Like there were no more like behind the scenes sciencey things for Dr. Stone. There was no more character analyses for fucking My Hero. There was nothing because you just bullied him off the internet. I really do think there's one more that I can weigh in on, and then we should probably wrap this up. And
yeah,
I'm coming for the FPS fans here.
I have never understood like the insane passion behind like the first person, like Call of Duty and that.
Like, listen, I feel like are the worst of the gaming community because you claim to love something so deeply, yet you go in this ever-loving cycle of, like, hyping something up. Like, I'm watching it right now, right? Because the new Call of Duty got revealed last week. I'm watching it right now with Modern Warfare 3. You are filleting Activision over what was originally going to be an expansion. It's Modern Warfare 2. And then they played you because now it's a full $70 release for what was supposed to be the year 2. Because back when Modern Warfare 2 2022 was revealed, it was going to be a 2-year life cycle so they could polish off the next Call of Duty. But now that they're seeing dwindling return for people coming back for the new battle pass, the new maps, and all that shit, they're like, well, we'll just release it as a new game. And you're eating it up, right? But 2 weeks after this game drops, you're going to turn on this one, and you're going to go back to Modern Warfare 2 and say it was the best thing ever. Because I watched the fucking community fall back to Vanguard for a little bit. And this happens every release. When Halo Infinite dropped, and I'm kind of guilty of this one as well, I was having so much fun with it originally, but it was so lacking in content because they basically didn't release any new maps for a year. So you were playing on the same, like, 6 maps. So it was very boring near the end. But I've never seen the community turn so quickly on the developer of a game than I watched in the Halo community with that release. Because it was full-on brigades of hate to just directed at 343. I'm just like, oh, okay, I'll just uninstall the fucking game. Like, let me save 100 gigabytes on my hard drive. Like, fuck it, I don't care. It's a game. I have a backlog that is 4 generations deep that I can go and play. Because, I'm a normal functioning adult. But I was, like, disappointed in it. Like, I will, admit I was disappointed in the fact that this game that had been hyped up for years and years and years at that point, and we watched them, like, delay it to put polish on it and everything. Because remember Craig, the elite meme? Or the Brute. Craig the Brute.
Craig!
Like, it was this ugly-ass fucking Brute animation that got turned into a meme for the longest time online. Which was fucking hilarious to watch. But, like, we watched it go from that ugly thing to one of the most beautiful Halo games ever created. I think second only to Halo Reach. But, like, because there was no content, it was just like hate directed to the developers. And it's pathetic that it just spiraled in the span of what seemed like a month to that. Like literally a month it took for them to turn on the developers from release. And then you have shit like Overwatch and Siege turn into absolute shit shows. I think Overwatch is more warranted though, because you had literal promised roadmaps for Overwatch 2, right? And not a single fucking thing has been delivered in that one. They even canceled the PvE portion of it, which was the big reason why they said they were shutting down Overwatch 1 and transitioning everything over to Overwatch 2, which is essentially the same goddamn game, again, because this is Activision and this is all they know how to do, is they just put out the same game with a few little minor tweaks and then called it a whole new game. But the fact, and I'm not a fan of the trend of canceling whole sides of projects. I'll side with the community's toxicity there, but that doesn't warrant the outrage that it created to where it was like full on death threat brigades and, you know, doxing the development team to a degree and everything that happened there. None of that is warranted. I will side with the fact that like you need to hold the company responsible. If they're promising something and not delivering it, hold them accountable, right? Because that's the reason why you're paying $70, $80, $90 for these games nowadays, is because of the promises they put out. That side of it, 100% behind, but it doesn't need to devolve into chaos. And with Siege, because people one trick in these types of games. So, like, say you're a Frostbane, like I was, and then your character gets nerfed because it's broken, right? Kind of like a ban list in Yu-Gi-Oh! They take that away, or they limit it, right? I'm trying to relate this to you, Luke, because I see Tyler's muted here. They limit the abilities of this. So, like, instead of having, like, X number of damage or X number of cards, you'll be knocked down to, like, a 1. Like, oh, you can only use 1 Sakuretsu armor in this deck now. So they started nerfing characters like Frost and Finka and Lion because they were so broken, and those were characters that were like super popular, and that's what kind of led to the downfall of Siege for a lot of people. And then you saw that same cycle of hate get directed at Ubisoft.
And this is why I never got into FPSs.
I love FPSs. I don't play them competitively anymore. Like, I don't have the time to sink 7,000 hours into learning every single map like I used to when I was a kid. Like, I was fucking phenomenal at Halo Reach back in the day. I sank so many hours into that game. And, like, once that got to the point where that was my entire life, I'm like, do I want to just pursue, like, pro gaming, or do I want to, you know, have a life? And I chose a life.
You wanted a life.
I saw, like, between my senior year of high school and, well, let's rephrase that. Between my freshman year of high school and Halo 3 and Halo Reach in my senior year, I sank 3,500 hours in each of those games.
Yeah.
And I did nothing else but play those 2 games.
Wow.
I would get home from school. I would sit in front of my TV, turn on my Xbox 360. I would get a fucking can of Monster, dump a 5-hour energy into it, and just stay up all night playing Halo. And then I got up from the like hour sleep that I had, go to the gas station. The gas station attendant knew me by name. They would have my order there for me at the counter. I would walk to school from the gas station because the gas station was right across from my school. And I would sit in my fucking Spanish class because that was my first period and sleep. And then after because I didn't give a shit about Spanish because it wasn't really required. It was just my elective. I would crack open that 5-hour energy, dump it into my can of Monster, and then just power through science, and then do the same thing the next night. Every day. From freshman year to senior year. That was my life.
Well, my life was a little bit more different because I didn't fall asleep in class.
I fell asleep a lot in class. Like, okay, I had this one teacher in 8th grade who would literally would either A, lick you on the forehead, or B, spray with a squirt bottle.
I would probably throw a book at my teacher if he sprayed me with a squirt bottle like a cat.
Yeah.
Because that's the kind of person I was in high school. I've mellowed out a lot, and a lot of that is thanks to weed.
I had some pretty cool teachers when I was in high school.
I
What
look back at some of it, and I'm like, I was a cunt in school. I wish I could go back and change some of it, but like, whatever.
I think we all wished we could go back and change some of it. Like, for example, I really wish I wasn't such a. I really wish I could go back in time and say to my younger self, "Hey, stop calling TV because you'll have nothing but people repeating what you said over and over again to your face for a year."
Could you imagine if that was you now in like the Rick and Morty era? Like, it turned me into a pickle, Morty.
Yeah, and then people saying, "Luke wants to be turned into a pickle. Luke wants to be turned into a pickle.
Give me my Szechuan sauce."
But yeah, I had like I said, I had pretty cool teachers. I mean, one of them still lives near me, so I still see them occasionally.
I am half a state away usually from where I grew up, so that's pretty cool. I don't have to deal with any of that. I couldn't imagine being the me I am now in my tiny conservative town. But like, yeah, it's just like chill out, people. A fucking shooter's not the end of the world.
Yes, it is, especially with Americans.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, gun culture here is fucking next to none. But like, I'm loving watching Counter-Strike Twitter right now, just melt down because the game's not finished. Even though I don't know how that game released in such a fucking bad state, considering how long it's been in development and the fact that they just replaced the launcher for CS:GO, with CS2.
What even is Counter-Strike?
A shooter that's a thinly skinned gambling simulator. I jest, but I don't. There's literally like dedicated sites to opening cases for that game because like the skin culture in that game like is so insane that there's skins out there that are worth like thousands of dollars. That's how I paid for a bunch of my games originally on Steam, was like just selling skins in CS:GO.
Which, by the way, speaking of Steam, I'm going to be a toxic fanboy right here for the last little bit. Like, how dare you not bring any of these retro games to Steam?
Luke, I can't even get fucking Prototype 1 and 2 to work on my PC. I don't think I want to try to get The Sims 1 to play on my PC.
I just want The Sims 2 on Steam again.
I want fucking... I would love to have Worms 1 and 2 on there.
Yeah, Worms 2. I would pay... I don't... If they came out, Worms 2 is £10 here. I would pay that £10 instantly.
I want Hexen on there. That's what I want. I want fucking Hexen back.
I just want a computer that can. I just want a gaming PC that can run Steam.
Yeah,
that's what I want.
One sec, guys.
Yeah. Hopefully you'll get one in the future, Tyler.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we should start wrapping this video up because I believe it's coming up to 2 hours. So I'll say my final thoughts on this topic. If you like any fan base, if you like any franchise or anything like that, and you just wanna express it in a civil way, that's fine. That's fine. More power to you. But at the same time, don't be one of those people who feel like, hey, this shouldn't be happening. This is how I want it. If you don't like it, then you can get out of my fan base. You do not own the fan base.
Yeah, like right now we're playing a little bit gatekeepy with things, and that comes with the metal culture that's built into me. But right now we're watching the Power Rangers fandom turn on one of the Red Rangers because of stuff like that, because he's not what a Power Ranger would be.
Nope. And I know I said that we wouldn't let outside influence judge our watch through of Power Rangers, but in his case, it's an exception. It's an exception to the rule.
See, Luke, it's always a Red Ranger. It's always a Red Ranger.
Yeah, like I said to myself, I wouldn't judge Cole's actor about what he did versus what we're going to be watching in Wild Force of Samurai. But with this particular Red Ranger, I'm not holding back.
Like you can't. How do I want to word this? You can't be a force for good and promote hate. And the entire message of Power Rangers is love and respect and admiration for your fellow man. And if you're out there promoting hate, you are not a Power Ranger.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying, like, because with Cole's actor, I generally believe that it was that, not condemning what he did, but I believe it was more a moment of enrage actions that went too far.
Yeah, there's a big difference. I'm still going to hold accountability there for what he did, but like there's a difference between that and what we're seeing right now with Megaforce, which is an unfortunate side that is a little bit too personal for me. What he's out there promoting, and seeing Austin St. John like it and then take his like back when he got backlash just shows that he also believes in that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which isn't at all surprising, because like everything that I've seen from him, from like being around him at conventions and stuff, like I always thought he was more of a libertarian, but it wouldn't shock me if he was full-blown conservative. Which, politics aside...
And the fact that Andrew Gray deleted that tweet shows just how much of a coward he truly is.
If you're gonna be a hateful cunt, own it.
Don't
your hate.
Like, yeah, just fucking own it. Yeah, you're a piece of shit, but at least you have a sliver of integrity. Like a teeny tiny sliver. I'm talking about the size of a freaking tardigrade.
Yeah. So when we get to Megaforce, we can shit on Troy as much as possible.
I love the fact that I think it was Power Rangers Daily that tweeted a photo of the Megaforce team with him cropped out. But like,
and again, I'll say this again, and I'll bring it up in the Cosmic Fury video. It's sad when a character who is canonically 65 million years old is more progressive.
The Uber Boomer. I don't get it.
When they were talking about that, I thought they were talking about the actor who.
No, we were talking about the character.
It's funny, right? Because it's such an old franchise at this point, but you're seeing now with the super polarizing politics of our modern society, we're seeing the plot line being drawn right there in the middle of like what Power Ranger is a piece of shit and what one isn't. Like, and it seems like every time there's a controversy, it's the Red Ranger. Either he's committing tax fraud, or he's coming out being a transphobic piece of shit, or, you know, it's just, you know, anti-vax or anti-science stuff coming out about them.
Hey, what?
Yeah.
Hey, what? Who said that?
That's Wes's actor.
Damn it.
Damn it, Wes! Why? Wait, what's Wes said?
He's anti-vax.
Okay, that kind of ruins not Vex, Wes a little bit for me, but not as much as what Andrew Gray has said.
Yeah, like I
Like
can see
there was-
religious perspectives for some of that, but like there's also the need to be scientifically based in life, because he quoted religion as his reason. I don't know anything about that one too deeply, so I'm not going to weigh in it judgmentally. I just have seen like a anti-vax and then did about 5 minutes of research on it, and yeah, he's tweeted a lot of anti-vax shit.
why can't they just be like, hey, if you believe in this, that's if you believe in this, that's cool, and blah 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 and all of that. But I don't personally believe in this for personal religious reasons.
Yeah, like at that point, I'd be like, okay, whatever, that's your choice, I guess. But also, I'm going to believe in science and not, risk my own life.
Yeah. Jason Thorne, I love you as an actor. I love you as an actor. And I love you as Wes, but you're completely wrong about being an anti-vaxxer.
Yeah. But yeah, like it's always Red Ranger. I just find that fascinating.
No, I'm just worried about what Amelia and Sato's actors, what the curse will be with them.
Having one really good hip sway for Amelia's.
Yeah,
The sass in her fucking morph is just top tier.
Yeah.
I didn't even pay attention to that till like the fucking.
I didn't either until
the
somebody
tweet.
actually posted it.
I'm like, wait, let me go back. Yeah, she's just got that sass to her, which I love for the.
It's gonna
Go ahead.
It's gonna turn out that I don't know, maybe Russell Curry doesn't use his turn signal and Hunter Deno chews with her mouth open or some shit.
Okay.
Which, compared to the other stuff,
to be fair, I've chewed with my mouth open
Same.
plenty of times.
yeah. To be fair, this is not true. This is not true. This is not true. I'm making a joke.
Yeah.
Making that transparent for both the ends and our audience.
I find it just absolutely hilarious that like we can sit here and predict like stupid shit like that, and then it'll probably come out in the next couple of days that one of them had done something stupid. I'm predicting that Russell Curry will have come out and he just got 86th from a bar because he was celebrating too hard after being resurrected again.
Which again wouldn't be as bad as what Andrew Gray has been doing.
Taking the piss out of all this. Like, I hope you enjoyed this fucking video, guys. This has been fun.
Yeah.
I gotta get ready to.
Don't be a toxic fanboy because nobody likes you if you're one of them.
Yeah, I gotta get ready to head out. So, peace from me.
Peace from me.
Peace from me too.